Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, where I'm doing a post commentary. So you'll have to excuse me. So this is a user scenario sent in by William Wood that I changed up a little bit. I removed some of the lighter ships. I tried to keep the overall balance the same, just because large numbers of light ships, you just end up avoiding torpedoes a lot. It did involve a random dice roll at the start, and I rolled a 6. And Twitch chat can verify this. I recorded all of the commentary live. It was all done live on Twitch. And yeah, so you see me just pausing and stopping. And I hadn't realised that my screen recording software in the background had quietly updated itself and lost my audio settings. Meaning that I wasn't recording my microphone. So there's a couple of these videos, so I'm going to have to try and remember. It was only last night that I did this. The game sound recorded fine, but yeah, it's the first time I've done like post commentary. I think I messed it up on a Taskmaster once. Now I did a post commentary, but hopefully the quality is all right. Hopefully the sound levels are all right. A bit of a mess. Anyway, we are playing as well Italy, but they were the Ellini Republic against the Taurian Confederation, represented by France. Now, the 6 that I rolled meant that I was supposed to get superior optics / radar. I chose to interpret that as having to fit my ships with an RDF, which is a little bit of a disadvantage, as it happens. And what am I doing now? Looks like I'm choosing towers. I'm pretty sure I'll end up going for a tall advanced tower, because they have, yeah. So if you just look at the stats between the advanced tower 12 and the tall advanced tower 1, you get a little bit better stats. It costs more, but it is actually 1,000 tons lighter, so it's a good buy. Decent quality tower. I always try and look out for those little breaks where you get the weight going down, but the stats going up. Obviously, in the campaign, you know, you'll get access to the towers slowly. You don't have them all at once. Then I and over rear towers for about 1 million years. I love these little rear towers with the barbettes on them. I think they look great. I think they're a really nice option. But the scenario had a request that I use 16-inch guns. And 16-inch guns do not fit on there. So I kind of dismiss it, but it'll make a reappearance later on. I love the Mark 1 16-inch gun model that the Italians get. I haven't actually done an Italian ship with Mark 1 guns for a while. I think they look absolutely fantastic. I mean, you can probably guess what sort of ship I'm gonna build. It's fairly typical for me. I'm an over funnels and engines quite a lot, actually. Again, very standard setup for me. I've really been enjoying the turbo electrics. You do seem to get really decent decent performance out of them, whereas gas turbines I've just found to be disappointing. Every time I've tried to use them, they just have not been particularly successful. Let me know in the comments what your go-to engine type is. For me, it tends to be steam, obviously, or then, but if I have the option turbo electric, that's always tempting. And diesels, I find diesels to be quite effective. Yeah, this is just me fiddling around trying to get smoke and speed and engine efficiency sorted out. If you don't know what I'm doing or why I do this, basically my process is I try and get as much funnel capacity as I can without getting a positive smoke interference. So you can see at the moment it's minus 9.7. And then I'll increase speed until I get 100% engine efficiency, or I'm just about to lose 100% engine efficiency. You can see here, this initial one, though, I'm like 36 knots, which would be the maximum speed I could possibly make this ship go without causing problems. again, very standard for me. I decided on a ABXY dual setup. It does work. I know it's not the most inspired, but there is a reason it was historically so popular. And in game, at any rate, you particularly if you don't have to buy the barbettes, and particularly at this point where the triples have a bit more of an accuracy debuff than they do later on. Just a really nice setup. Very much a broadside on kind of ship, but you can make them with decent attack angles. That's probably the biggest advantage the ABX triples have over this arrangement is you can really get a nice angle of attack in. I'm not bothering with huge casement guns, and you can fit 8-inch on this hull, but I'm just putting them there to fill up the slots basically. And yeah, one of the problems I had on this hull as well, which I'm starting to notice now, is the 4 weight offset, because I can't move the towers around at this point. So I decided to, instead of using the kind of the higher up deck, I decided to put the X turret on a barbette so I could have more space to move towers around. I then make a decision to change the tower type, and that one didn't fit, but this one did, and allowed me to place just give me a bit more room. Obviously it's a little bit better stats, and I could put a secondary gun up there. Was my thinking. I don't want to balance the ship out too much. I kept telling myself this, because you really want to do that after you've chosen everything else about the ship, but I didn't want it to be like a crazy offset. I consider 8-inch guns, but I noticed that the 5-inch is a Mark IV, which is quite tempting, and obviously they're a lot lighter, and I can get quite a few of them in, although this is not the final setup, as you will see when I start doing everything. I completely changed my mind about the engine setup and things. I think I'm debating the level of protection, because I'm already at 93% my displacement, and I haven't fitted any systems, no gun systems, rangefinders, any of that. You can see here I rapidly exceed the weight, especially when I had the RDF. I was surprised to see coincidence 5 rangefinders, which is very nice. I did briefly think about going with something other than an all or nothing, but I've really been enjoying the all or nothing schemes, and this is my standard: fit it with everything you want, and then come back to it. Although I noticed I left it on standard bulkheads, which I might sorry, just shifting around in my chair there, which I might have left. So armor wise, I'm going for an 18-9 on the turret. Should keep them perfectly safe. And then I've gone for, well, really a real all or nothing scheme with, splinter protection on the extended belt, and very thin armor on the decks, and then a really chunky citadel. It's not perfect, but it does save you an awful lot of weight. So it lets you bring in a pretty fast, pretty powerful ship, and in return, you are, you're not sacrificing too much. Basically, the issue with it is if you get into a close-in firefight against a cruiser or a capital ship with lots and lots of secondaries, you could end up taking quite a bit of damage. You could also end up taking a bit of damage from the front or the back if you take repeated damage, and you have to be very careful that none of your guns are outside the main citadel, because they will go boom. Which would be very bad. I think here I settle on a 29 knot top speed. I think that would be, for 1923, pretty darn good. to be honest. 1923 makes... Well, it should be ready in 1925. Makes her a contemporary of something like HMS Hood, if you want a British example. Compared to Hood, Hood was a little bit faster. She could do 32 as built, although she'd slow down to 30 later on. So we were a little bit slower than that, but we have slightly bigger armor, and we have way more armor. I mean, Hood had a belt of about 12 inches thickness, whereas we've got a 16-inch belt, which is much nastier. It's a full-on battleship, yeah, much faster than contemporary battleships, I would say. So yeah, fast battleship, 1923, which is really interesting because obviously we're getting there. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe by the time this video is out on YouTube, we have some more news of the 105 beta. But yeah, if we're getting Italy and we're getting long campaigns, and you build this sort of thing in, you know, get it constructed by 1925, that's a really nice ship. And it made me think about perhaps you know, when we get the long campaign or the full campaign, how you know, designing your ships with an eye to the future might be a really important facet, because this ship, I reckon, would be useful maybe not in the all the way up to the 1940s, but it would definitely be relevant all the way through the 1930s. She's got good armor, she's got good guns. They're not the most accurate, so she would suffer against a ship with better 16-inch guns. She doesn't have radar, but apparently we are getting the opportunity to refit ships, so maybe it could be refitted with radar. And anti-torpedo 3 is obviously behind the times. We're going to be behind the times when you get later on the campaign. So that's me pretty much satisfied with this design. I think it looks great as well. A nice little secondary battery with the 9 5-inch guns able to fire out either side, backed up with the 4-inch casements, although I don't think they do very much in this scenario at all. And I should now be happy and move on. Engine efficiency 96.9, that's not too bad. Flash fire chance of 3, it's within the realms of acceptance. It's a little bit high, but that's what you get from 1920s tech. Yeah, not bad. Not bad little thing. It's quite expensive. I think without crew, not sure if I show that off. I've got a 50 crew on that one, so I think she would probably be about 80 million to build. So not hugely expensive by late game standards, but I think a very nice little ship. Now the requirement for the battle cruiser was to build basically a battle cruiser variant, and I want to go for the medium size. And almost predictably, pretty much any time you take this hull out, or I do, I end up making a Renown. So that's almost certainly what is going to happen. I'm going to end up with a Renown class. Again, looking around for the towers, I go with the 11 because it is more compact. Because this ship tends to suffer from a 4-weight offset problem. Again, I'm just going with regular crews, and again, all the rest of the setup is very similar because I've already made most of the decisions with the battleship. I stick with geared turbines. I think I go forced turbines as well. There's a bit of messing around with funnels, and that's pretty much it. Now, what speed do we get up to? 30 knots. Which is alright. And then I'm going to mess around with funnels for a while. So I'm just going to speed up time a little bit. Go to 1.5. Just, again, me fiddling around and doing all this. Again, I go for 35 knots. I think that's a very, very good speed, although I have real trouble sticking to it. I also seem to want to put side guns on this for some reason. I don't know if the devs have swapped side and center lines around or something, but it felt like I was constantly pressing that through this build. Anyway, a couple of casements just to keep things on the go. Put on the RDF as required by the scenario. Identical setup for everything else. Apologies if this is a little bit too fast, but I don't want to take up too much time looking at the battlecruiser design, because they are good, but they are very similar to the battleships. Armour, I and a bit. I end up going with a slightly more lightly armoured ship than it would normally, because here I find myself still 6% overweight. I don't want to lose the guns. I don't want to lose the speed. I'm happy with the level of protection and systems I have. I try and looking at engine efficiencies. I end up going, I think I stick it on induced turbos for 0 smoke and 96.9% engine efficiency, which I think is right. Here I'm discussing with chat what I should do. They suggest removing the torpedo, and I think I end up, and then yeah, I'll take the armour down a little bit, because I mean it is currently armoured like a battleship would be. I look at reducing the speed to do it, but I would be sacrificing a lot of speed, so I decide against it. And yeah, here's where I start changing the armour. So shaving down the deck and the belt and the turrets as well. So more of a true battlecruiser than I would normally do. I lower the torpedo protection just a teeny bit, and that's pretty much the battlecruiser done, apart from the balancing. But as you can see here, I can't really push anything any further back, and I don't want to do a reverse renown, so I end up leaving it like that. I don't want to push the rear turret any further back, because it will push it out of the citadel. And that's pretty much the battlecruiser, I think. Don't think I do much else apart from trying to see if I think I try and add a torpedo. Yeah, I do. I try putting the rear torpedo trick. It gets down to 1.2. I don't think the ships fired those rear torpedoes, but you know, they had them. And then yeah, I just leave it there with a little bit of a weight offset. I probably could have fixed it in armour. Then we move on to a light cruiser. Light cruisers normally are very boring. I wouldn't say this one's particularly interesting either, so I'll go back to the faster version. In fact, let's go any faster than 1.6. 7, 8, 9. Well, go 2 times speed. There we go. Though the Italians do at least get a nicer hull. And I think I go with 6-inch guns. Yeah, I do. The AI has a couple of destroyers. I have a single light cruiser. And yeah, 6-inch build. And I just try and get everything pretty much set up how I would like it. Very similar setup to the other ships, to be honest. I wish we had some more light cruiser hulls. This one is a little bit nicer than the others, but yeah, particularly on the towers, the light cruiser towers, very restrictive. I'm not a huge fan of light cruisers, but I was knocking this ship when I was building it, but well, you'll see in a minute. She proved me wrong. Again, I'm experimenting here with a cruiser version of All or Nothing, with a reasonably protected citadel and splinter protection everywhere else. And yeah, what do I do to get that last bit away? Oh yeah, I just make the ship bigger. And then I'll stick some torpedoes on it. Because I realised I didn't have any. Now this is, historically speaking, a ridiculous number of torpedoes. But I know that the AI loves torpedoes, so I'm not going to try and get the weight offset perfect with this because there's not much point. And there we go. I do actually manage to get it perfect. Awesome. I think I've got a little bit of weight spare, but I don't think I use it up, do I? No. I reduced the displacement just to make it a bit smaller and a bit cheaper. Not a bad design, but you know, light cruiser, wasn't expecting much. And into the battle. So, AI produces, well, very interesting looking battle cruiser. We'll go back to regular speed for this. Yeah, the AI designs actually were not bad this time around. So chat, I offered them the option of me going in and having a look at the designs and fixing them up. But it was decided against. It's me just admiring the ship. I split the battleship and battle cruisers up, trying to form two lines of battle, and I ordered the light cruiser to screen the battle cruisers because they'll be out in front. And of course the division system gets in the way, and the Regina sees that she's about to run into the stern of the battleship in front and starts turning the wrong way. And then of course the light cruiser does all sorts of weird things. The Diana, a very unfortunate position I started off in, with my ships headed away and at right angles to the enemy line, but they were able to sort it out pretty quickly. The Iridae here, I decided to send forwards to try and eliminate the enemy destroyers so that I could move in with my capital ships, whilst the battlecruiser and battleships engaged the enemy line. That was the plan. When do plans ever go well? Because at some point the AI is going to realise and change it up and do something a bit different. It's me just getting a screenshot. If you wonder how I take the screenshots, I do actually do them after I've done the video, but I always try and have a little bit of the video where I'm getting the screenshot, so I know where to go to get it, and I do like doing that kind of thing. But as well, it makes me, if I'm thinking, oh, that would be a good screenshot, I do tend to zoom in more and turn the UI off and get some pretty pictures. So you get a bit more variety, because otherwise, if I'm playing this without doing that, playing the game without that, I will generally just be completely zoomed out. Enemy definitely got the advantage with those two early hits. Iridae moving forward. I'm just trying to get an ID, and I think the destroyers are at the back. Get our first hit, but it doesn't go through. And it's, I think, at this point where the AI, the AI decides that my cruiser needs to die. So I don't think I've realised that yet, to be honest. But yeah, those are big shells headed her way. No, I haven't realised. I should have immediately smoked up that light cruiser at that point. And started manoeuvring it. I think I noticed now the enormous number of shells going her way. Or maybe not. Too busy watching the pretty lights. So yeah, I'm trying to engage that destroyer out the front. I'm still going, not aware of the danger. I must be now. Yeah, there we go. I've realised that the Iridae is getting hit pretty hard, so I switch on torpedoes, tell her to turn away under smoke. Fires a nice spread. I'm not expecting them to hit because of the AI, and the Iridae takes a nasty, nasty hit. So I'm just happy for her to retreat. And I'm bemoaning bemoaning light cruisers and saying how they're awful. But in reality, what the Iridae has done is she's gotten that destroyer to fire her torpedoes, which is the only set of torpedoes the destroyers carry. She's also distracting the enemy capital ships, which are furiously trying to fire at her. And there, you see, she gets 2 torpedo hits on the Richelieu, amazingly enough. And I'm amazed, but not as amazed as what happens next when, yeah, the Richelieu has a rear ammo go up, rear magazine explodes, and yeah, that pretty much dooms the ship. A few bulkheads, she's not going to get away with that. So yeah, all that trash talk I was really mean about the Iridae and light cruisers in general, and yeah, takes out a battleship with her torpedoes. Really, really impressive strike. Normally the AI is really good at avoiding, but that battleship is slow, 22 knots. Explains why the Taurians were so eager to take out the cruiser. But it's very rare, very rare indeed, that I launch a torpedo salvo and it hits when it's not at point blank range. So I was pretty pleased with that. I assume the Iridae is going to be left alone, but I think the AI continues to fire. I'm just looking at the battle cruiser here. They're reasonably fast. They're not bad, actually. They're not very well armoured, but and they have an enormous amount of deck space and a pretty pointless barbette on the rear, I'm just noticing. But overall, they're not terrible for a battle cruiser design. Now, if I'm remembering right about now, something happens in Twitch chat. Yeah, there we go. So, Admiral Short, or Mr. Short, at this point, redeemed an in-game ban, which was the use of AP ammunition. So I had to switch all of my ships to HE, and that necessitated a change in tactics. So at this point, I decide, right, if we're going to go HE, we're going to have to go close. So I split the divisions up, and I order all ships to go in for point blank. I kind of justify that as, don't let them get away. Although the range is reasonably close now. The remaining battleships are still furiously trying to kill the Iridae, possibly in revenge, but they're not paying attention to my ships. And back in the builds, I went with tube powder shells. Tube powder propellant and their HE shells. And you'll see in a minute, and I've said this for a while, I'm a big fan of tube powder because tube powder HE works extremely well. And part of the reason for that is tube powder gives you a bonus to penetration, but it's not a bonus to AP shell penetration. It's just a flat bonus to pen. I actually predict the torpedo launch by the destroyer there. Rare moment for me. And continue trying to murder the destroyer, although she's out of torpedoes, so probably should have switched fire at that point. But there we go. And you can see, well, I was going to say right about now, but I obviously remembered wrong. Yeah, at this point, yeah, that's right. Start firing at that distant destroyer, which is a bit pointless, so order ships to start targeting, you know, important things. But you can see here, you know, you get partial pens, which is knocking out an engine. It's kind of what you expect from HE fire, but in a minute it will do something a little bit different. The Iridae takes another hit, big hit, I think off one of the battle cruisers. But there, the Guyane took penetrating hits from HE shells. I know I'm pretty close, but penetrating hits from HE shells do so much damage. It is unreal, because of course they're exploding inside the ship, and here that battleship is heeled right over, and yeah, punched right through the main belt as well, I think, although the combat log's going so fast I can't read it. Yeah, just causing massive damage. Sinking her in a few hits. The Republic has been battered by the battle cruisers and then finished off. I was trying to go in for a ram, but the Taurian ship sunk before that happened. I thought the Iridae had taken out the destroyer, but it was a battleship getting very keen. Iridae somehow still alive with her 3 forward sections keeping the whole ship afloat. And of course, with the 2 remaining battle cruisers, HE shells against that lighter armour are going to prove particularly devastating. But the only problem with 16-inch guns, slow reload, because they're only the Mark 1s. But when they hit, and they hit really, really hard. So I was pretty pleased with this. Pretty pleased with the performance of these ships. Yeah, they really didn't take too much damage in return. And yeah, completely decimated this enemy fleet. I don't think any of them took significant damage. Yeah, 600 damage from a main belt pen with an HE shell. No, I'm definitely a tube powder convert. Well, always happy, but like unless you're going for something very specific, I generally prefer tube powder as soon as you get it, even over triple base. But here, yeah, 2 ships in the distance, furiously reloading those guns. Obviously the 5-inch not doing a huge amount. But here come the 16s. And that completely destroys the ship there. She sunk. And again, I think, oh, I might be able to get a ram in, just for the giggles, the Diana. But she has her guns loaded. She tracks them on target. And I think causes quite a lot of damage, yeah. And then I think the Regina finishes her off. Yep. And that's the end. And that's the end. Not bad. Not bad at all. Virtually no damage for any of my ships. I do have a quick look at the ship's stats. The Irrite there. Almost out damaging a battleship. Which is really... Oh, battle cruiser, sorry. Which is really impressive. The Fama there with the 15,000 definitely did the most. But... yeah, really good. Yeah, they're looking at the damage received on the Irrite. 9 15-inch hits, 11 14-inch hits. And she was still going. Which, yeah, I was really impressed with. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you don't mind post-commentary. And I hope to see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.